So I would take Assam question first, and then I would ask Maylin if she can answer to this question. Assam, please.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes. How can we build up our indigenous students and the youth in different fields? As because of in Assam, we are in a interior place. Our different indigenous youths and the girls, they have not get any chance as because of the government of India and the government of Assam. They have no any policy for the student and the youth, especially for the indigenous youths and the girls and the boys. So in this matter, how can you help us and how can we proceed in this subject? Hello.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. So the question was related to indigenous. This question is about in the how to support indigenous youth, and maybe Krishna, do you have any comment on that? As you work a lot with indigenous networks, do you want to comment on that? Maybe, Krishna. I would ask Maylin to comment on the question with regard to countries that give a strong support for the agrarian reform agenda from a youth perspective. And then I'll double check if Krishna is still with us, because it seems we lost her. Maylin, do you want to answer to the question about indigenous, the question about agrarian reform and youth?
Elizabeth, can I answer the question? This is
yes, please,
Esther from AFA, because I think Maylin is not here.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Lost connection. Thank you very much. With regards to the question on how do we motivate youth and agrarian reform, I think in a community where there is a struggle for land rights, usually these are led by the old ones, the senior ones, right? But the young people can be encouraged to be part of all the activities of the organization who is defending their rights to land. We have very concrete experience in the Philippines, for example, when a group called Sumilaw Farmers were defending their rights to ancestral lands. They did a long march, like a 1,000 kilometer march from their village to Manila, and around 50 people walked from their village to Manila, and among those 50 people were young farmers, and they were included in all the training, in all the preparations, in all the policy dialogues that have happened during the march. So basically, we call for farmers organizations, indigenous communities to make a space for their young people so that they can participate, actively engage in the struggle for land of their parents and of their elders. And when land is distributed, then they also benefit from the land distribution. Thank you.
I wonder whether, Rudolf, do you want to comment by any chance on the indigenous people? There is another comment from, sorry, I only see Indigenous Peoples Pact, but I don't see your name, but your hand is raised, so please go ahead. I cannot, yes, I cannot, yes, you. Sorry, I cannot see the, okay, yes, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Madam, the concept of indigenous people is not cleared by our India government. Do they sign the UNDRIP? Because according to Indian government concept, all Indian peoples are indigenous. Due to this, the peoples of our state. Basically, our state was during the time of our before independence and before the colonial era of British, it is called Mung-Dun-Chun-Kham. It was ruled by our kings from Tayahom community. According to this, the name Assam was then called Mung-Dun-Chun-Kham. So I am representing as a coordinator of our organization, Mung-Dun-Chun-Kham. So yesterday I have also raised the question that the fund allocated in the name of indigenous people was falsely utilized by our Assam and Government of India. So this year also, the Asia Development Bank have sanctioned about 1,000 crore in the name of Indigenous Peoples Plan. Again, the Government of India and our Assam government try to make the peoples of other parts of our country as indigenous. But according to the UNDRIP, according to the concept of UNDRIP, the peoples who lived before the colonial era are called indigenous. But due to the process of the misprocess of Indian government and our Assam government, our indigenous peoples are going to lose their political identity, social identity, and their land right. So our fertile land is now under the peoples of the other parts of the country, and gradually we are also lost our political power, social power, and economic power. So again we want to represent in the stakeholders meeting, which is held between the Government of India, representative of AIPP, and our indigenous people. So I want to know how can we represent our people in the next stakeholder meeting, which will be held, and your suggestion how it will help to regain our social, economic, political right, and what will be your suggestions? Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much. Mirgul, do you want to answer to this question?
Hi, yes, we remember your question, and you also was asking first day, and yesterday that day we were proposing that it is better to participate in the yesterday session, that we were talking about the indigenous yesterday, all the, entire sessions. Yeah, so that's a good question. Thanks for your interest, and thanks for coming today as well. So maybe my suggestion here will be that we will take note on your question and your request, how we can work more closer and how we can collaborate to raise this to raise the questions and these challenges to the another people in the another platforms as well. So maybe we can give some, I don't know, definition, what is the use and what is the indigenous that you already asked it yesterday also, and maybe we can also link you with our members of ILC Asia as AIPP, that they have, I'm sure, that members in India as well. So maybe we can later link you with them, and we can come with the more detailed discussions with your request to move on this. Yeah, we can understand all the challenges that you are facing as indigenous there, and that government are not acknowledging your rights there. So maybe it is better to discuss at the ground level, to go with the more detailed discussions with the interested people there. So that's my answer for now. I'm sorry if I cannot fulfill it. I mean,
Thank you, Mirgul. Is there any other comment that anyone wants to make on any of the question that was raised? Assam, do you want to add something? You raise your hand again.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Regarding the indigenous people land rights in our Assam, in Tinsukia district, the Oil India and ONGC, they have done different misdeeds. They also, by some other way, in the our Dibru Soikhwa reserve and reserves under reserve, they are established a oil exploration field, but in original map in our Dibru Soikhwa reserve, there is no any scope for excavation of oil, but under some pressure, the Oil India separate the area from reservation area and cut it, and they excavate the oil, and by this the oil field and oil organization for this burning place, the area, and burn down different animals and the our preservable different and orchids, they are totally destroyed. So in our Assam, the ecosystem is completely disturbed. So in this way, Supreme Court also direct not to do this, but they have not followed the direction of Supreme Court also. This is the situation. So the indigenous people's rights are completely torn by this government organization. So when the indigenous people also protest in this regard, and they call police and they arrest and torture our indigenous boys and the girls and the people. So they are not getting any compensation also. This is the situation. So the indigenous people, how can they stand when the government is against the indigenous people by any way? They are always always trouble the indigenous people, targeting. This is the situation, and it is very sorrowful to say that the government of India also voted in favor of the UNRIP, but they are not implementing it. It is also very sorrowful that they are not declared till today who are the indigenous of Assam. It is also very disgusting. Martinez Kobu's definition of indigenous people accepted by the world as a whole. We, the indigenous people of Assam, 100 organizations include in our Assam Sanmilita Mahasangha. We are the Confederation of Indigenous Peoples. So we wholeheartedly support the Martinez Kobu's definition of indigenous people.
Elizabeth, can I?
In that situation, so how can we proceed as government completely against the indigenous people? So please, kindly advise us, and how can you and the world indigenous groups help us, by which we can retain our own rights, please.
Yes, thank you. There was someone who wanted to make a last comment on this on this? I heard a voice, Elisabetta, can I? Yes, you can, but I don't know who.
No, it was me, but now Samita is from Assam. That fellow has said that no to have that. So I suggest that if there's some brief, he can just comment on the chat box, and then the RCU team and the Asia Sharing Committee or the NACE India or AIPP can consider that take the issue rather than discussing here as per the time. No, but thank you. That yeah.
Thanks to Devi, thanks to Dinesh, Ms. Charia, Elvira, all your support that you did for us during the last years. And we hope that
Bye, Arabic.